So, you don't need to draw this. So we talked about the market, which is supply and demand. Let's look at how we actually got the demand curve, and let's look at how we actually got the supply curve. Demand is from the consumer's point of view, supply is from the producer's point of view. Now, consumers demand goods based on their preferences. But what limits them is their income or their budget. Then we drew a map of preferences, assuming two goods, X and Y. As the consumer moves away from the origin, their happiness, their utility begins to increase. And we drew a series of indifference curves, where each indifference curve shows points of equal happiness. As I move away from the origin, my happiness begins to increase. What prevents me from going far away from the origin is my budget constraints. If my income is symbol I, that is the maximum amount of X I can buy, and that is the maximum amount of Y I can buy. My income divided by the price of X is the most X I can buy. My income divided by the price of Y is the most Y I can buy. My best affordable combination is where my indifference curve just touches my budget. Everything on the budget line is affordable. Everything above the budget line is not affordable. That's the best point I can afford using my given income. If the price, sorry, that's an X. If the price of one of these goods was to change, let's say the price of X decreased, the amount of Y I can afford would stay exactly the same, but the amount of X I can afford would begin to increase. So my budget would begin to rotate if the price of X went down and nothing else changed. My current combination, let's call that A, is still affordable, but it's within my budget. I'm not maximizing my happiness. I'm actually able to afford a higher level of utility. We'll just call that B. So I'm able to move to a higher indifference curve. The fall in price of X enables me to increase my utility. So using this indifference curve map, we can actually construct a consumer's demand curve. Our aim is now to see where we got the demand curve from. Demand is based on preferences and the budget constraint. Using the preferences indicated by the indifference curves and the budget constraint, I can use that information to construct a demand curve. I used to be able to buy quantity A, but now I am buying quantity B. What I'm buying is good X, and I'm looking at it in terms of the price of X. The price of X went down, the quantity of X went up. The price of X has decreased, the quantity of X has increased. So what I've got is the law of demand. A fall in the price has increased my quantity demanded. Using this information, I can construct my demand curve for good X. So where did the demand curve come from? The indifference curve map and the budget constraints showing all the best affordable points. If there is a price change, the best affordable point will also change. In this case, the price of X decreased, so the quantity of X increased. Now that's for one consumer. If I did it for a few consumers, I'll have the demand curve for individual 1, the demand curve for individual 2, and the horizontal sum of 2 demand curves will give me the market demand curve, assuming that there's only 2 individuals in the market. So this is Mr. A, this is Mr. B, and now the market, assuming that there's just 2 people in the market, you horizontally add the 2 demand curves. You keep the price fixed and you add the quantities. So if at $1, Mr. A demands 2 and Mr. B demands 3, then the market demand will be 5. The horizontal sum of individual demand curves gives you the market demand curve. So where did the market demand curve come from? The sum of individual demand curves. Where did the individual's demand curve come from? From their best affordable bundles, just seeing what they would have bought for every possible price. That answers the question, where did the market demand come from? Let's see where the market supply comes from.